You're listening to One Family, What's God Doing? Where we explore what God's doing in YWAM locations throughout Virginia. We can't wait for you to find out what God's doing today. Welcome back to What's God Doing, and I'm excited to get to spend some time with Dustin virtually. So, Dustin Campbell, I have a question for you.
Oh, what's that question?
What's God What's God doing in Lynchburg?
That's right. I'm sorry. I had to couldn't help myself. That's the name of the podcast.
We're keeping it fresh and light for the people.
Really? What a question. I wasn't prepared. No, I was, well, I mean, God's been doing a lot. I could tell you that, one thing is that it's like living on the edge. Lauren Cunningham wrote a book a number of years ago about living on the edge, and it just basically it's a book about trusting God with finances, but just trusting God, just leading like every word at every step. And I definitely think that's what we're going through right now. But we're starting off a new year. So like, things are becoming even more real in the sense that, so like currently right now is like, sometime this month, we're actually going to, assume the space, the Marple family. We've been helping them and prepare for their move to the new house, but that's like a 3,500 square foot space in a building. And really that's going to be our first step of actually having a location. And, so it's like 3,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. We're hoping to make a hospitality there, and also like in the fall, like house LU students and make it a discipleship community. So it's getting kind of real. I mean, that's pretty. It's like then what comes with that is the reality of finances. Like space doesn't come for free, and so like we have to trust God for the monthly cost on that place. But God is still good. I mean, the LU students, they're arriving back from their Christmas break, and I'm really actually looking forward to it. Mostly just because they have a morning prayer time I've been attending to, and I just it's been a month actually now. So to have them come back and Monday through Friday, be able to pray with them every morning. That's going to be really exciting. And also, we're preparing an outreach team for South Africa with the LU students. And so we're mobilizing that. And we're also hoping to help mobilize LU students for other activities to help in YWAM and YWAM VA actually. So that's kind of we're charging ahead. We're trusting God for crazy stuff. Any more questions?
Well, what's interesting about your location is you have this steady flow of folks who want to engage and connect.
Yeah.
Right. So like we look at somewhere like Virginia Beach, there are a lot of tourists that come through there. So you may be able to have a great experience with evangelism in that space, but maybe not discipleship as much because there's a lot of people that you may never see again. And there's beautiful things in that. But what you have is this steady flow of folks who are likely going to be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
Who are coming to Liberty University. So they're already desiring to engage in spiritual things. And here you all are saying, hey, we're here to serve you. Right?
Yeah.
And so let me ask this question. How do you think that something like this could change the trajectory of a young adult's life, where they could have just gone anywhere, but now for the next year, 2 years, 3 or 4 years, they have a team of YWAM Lynchburg folks who are going to be praying for them, walking alongside them, encouraging them, creating opportunities. How might that change the trajectory of their life?
Well, I think, I'll come back to one thing God was speaking to us last month. And I'm not even sure if I should, I think this is post our last podcast, is that, part of the vision we have is we believe we're called disciple people from the nations, and also disciple people going into the nations. And so the thing is that, so these LU students are coming in here. There's different groups of LU students. I mean, so there's different batches. And so one batch is there's about 80 different nationalities. And so you're looking with that, there's a lot of internationals that come in the school. Also, LU offers missionary scholarships, missionary kid scholarships. And so these are parents who are serving overseas, and then their kids come here, and they're experiencing culture shock, really honestly, and coming back into the States. And then you have all the other students there, and with the other groups of students that attend LU, you would think that yes, you say, oh well, they're engaged in spiritual activity. Well, sometimes it's the like actually there's a big there's people that are really not that committed. I mean, they're going to
Mm,
LU, but they're just there for other reasons. But you do have a batch of LU students there, and that's the ones who actually we're really connecting with in the prayer movement. And so, like our hope is honestly what we want to do is we're talking about discipling people going to the nations. Now, I say the word
yeah.
nations in the sense of like in all different spheres of society, kind of thing. Like in the that we're called you're called, and they if like if someone has a calling, the idea is to have a mission mentality wherever God's calling you to go. And so
Mm,
and so people who would actually start being discipled us, our goal is actually that we would equip them for their calling. And of course, the thing is like if they're called to like engage in long-term missions, then this is something we can actually help them with. One great example is Gil. So Gil's one of the
mm,
students. He's not one of the former YWAMers, but he's the one he's the one going to be like spearheading and leading with us this team to South Africa. Now Gil he's in his first year at LU, and but he knows that God's called him to go to be a missionary, and he's really considering like South Africa long term, like that, right?
mm,
And so, and we knew that God was speaking to us. Like I'm talking to some of the LU students, and also us about facilitating a summer outreach team. And so Gil, he kind of came to the, and I sat down and talked to him. So, well, what's God is speaking to you? Long story short, God gave him some very clear words about like South Africans in his heart, and and he even got a place like Johannesburg, and he didn't even know what that place was, and like I
mm,
knew the pioneer of that place, but Susan, who's one of our staff here, she was like a missionary in Africa for over 20 years. She actually she only lived an hour away from Johannesburg. She knows all the leadership there, and so now we're preparing the team. We're preparing like all the
mm,
logistics right now, and really
yeah.
honestly, what is going to be? It's going to first of all for Gil. Okay, he's helped mobilizing the team, but he's also thinking long term missions. And like this is like
Mm,
one step right away, right here. Like this is like a huge impact. We have connections globally that can help mobilize like potential missionaries go into all the world. Okay, but
mm,
also the thing is we can also provide like mission, like just mission awareness. Like you have LU students who go on this outreach to South Africa. A lot of them it's going to be their first time, and it's going to open their eyes
mm,
to what missions is. It could a call them to missions, or b they'll understand the need to support missions in the future and the Great Commission globally. And so
mm,
it's going to bring change to people's lives. I mean, so like, and that's just the missional aspect. There's also the discipleship aspect, equipping people for their calling, and that's what we're hoping for with the students there. We want to have a discipleship community where people actually would grow. It'd be a place from healing, but also like people for like it'll be a place of like for the internationals, it could be a place where they can actually feel at home.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the word we got like even long before we started was hospitality. That was like a
Mm,
kicker that God's clearly spoke to us hospitality, and we didn't know what kind of form or what that is, but it's becoming more clear as we come along that we're going to be a place for hospitality. And so we're like creating a place for home for people that aren't home in a
mm,
sense, and
yeah.
we're and really for the I'm wanting to connect more with the missionary kids, with the internationals, and also with these people that have a passion for Christ to see the gospel spread, and that's what this whole intercession group is all about.
Yeah. Hospitality is one of those things that we often don't think about it. Like it can easily go unseen or unnoticed unless it's not there. We immediately notice it if hospitality doesn't exist. But when hospitality is done well, sometimes you don't even notice it because hospitality isn't trying to bring attention to itself. It's
Sure.
trying to shift the focus of the person. So that's something that I've really appreciated about you and your team is y'all have had this heart mindset of saying, we're going to actually forego a lot of things that are going well for us. We're going to forego some of the plans we have. We're going to say yes to God. And then you get there and God's telling you to invest in these students, to equip these students, to disciple these students, rather than put the spotlight on yourselves. But man, what's going to come from that? The fruit that can come from those seeds is exciting. And so let's say somebody's listening and they are really excited about what you're doing. How can people come alongside you all? How can they pray for you?
Oh, sure. Well, one is just pray. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, like we're about to receive a lot of this. Like, I mean, I would say intercession is a big one. I mean, like if you could actually,
Mhm.
people could spend time praying for us, that would be a huge help as far as us moving forward. And also, like, also another thing is like financially they can give.
Mhm.
YWAM Lynchburg, we're actually going to have a website up here pretty soon.
Woohoo!
It's releasing in like February 1. So like YWAM Lynchburg. If you go YWAM VA, you'll actually see a button for YWAM Lynchburg, and you can click that. But YWAMVA.org. But also another thing is people could, if they want to support YWAM Lynchburg monthly, that would be a huge help. These next few
Mhm.
months, we don't really have we have like a lot of financial responsibility, but we don't have much income coming in. After
Yeah.
August, hopefully that will turn around. But also, like if there's people who
Mhm.
actually, one thing we desire for is actually also to entertain missionaries, or for be a place of rest. And so like there's missionaries like out there that just want
Mhm.
to get away, and like if we can actually facilitate that, that's something to come and be a
Yeah.
part of us. And of course, if God's calling to be on staff, we need people who have a heart for not just, I mean, for young people, yes, but also for the city of Lynchburg. I know there's an aspect of Lynchburg which is not quite developed yet, that God's calling us to do is to
Mhm.
reach out to the city. I also know that we're called to be a bridge in a sense between LU and downtown, and so like that is something that's still kind of like, we know something's there, but we're not sure what it is. But that's coming. I mean,
Mhm.
that's part of what God has for us. And so, like, we have people who have a passion for Lynchburg, or for college students, and they're in YWAM. They want to come join us. That'd be a huge blessing. So you can pray, you can give, and you can come. One, if you just need a time to rest, that'd be awesome. Or second, if you want to
Mhm.
come volunteer for maybe 3 months, or maybe join staff long term, that would be a huge blessing to us. And so, yeah, those are three ways
Yeah.
you can come to us.
That's great. And as we close out, is there a verse that God's been putting on your heart?
Well, one verse is that, again, we're talking about hospitality. I was like, I think of Hebrews, and this is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. It says, "Do not neglect showing hospitality to strangers, for thereby
Mhm.
you have entertained angels unaware." And you know, like I know that for us, God has called us to hospitality, but it's like sometimes you might be entertaining. Like for entertaining strangers, entertaining angels, even. One thing
Mhm.
I believe, one thing I want to just reflect on is this verse doesn't necessarily mean this, but I also believe this is that we're also called to be hospitable for the move of the Holy Spirit. And that's honestly,
Yeah.
that's something that God's clearly spoken to us over and over again, multiple times, is that we're called to have a place where the Holy Spirit can feel free to move and have His way. And so that's a verse that I think and that's also something that you can pray, that we would be sensitive to the move of the Holy Spirit, that as He leads us and guides us, we would follow that direction. And so the move of the Holy Spirit, but also like those who God brings to us. And honestly, like, be hospitable to strangers. A lot, in some ways, we're still new in Lynchburg. We are the stranger in
Mhm.
some ways,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
we want to be hospitable to those God brings to us, and be it from LU
Yeah.
or from others. And so for clarity of that, but that's something that's been speaking to us. Just like, let's be hospitable, because in that you can be. I believe you be entertaining angels, but definitely the move
Mhm.
of the Holy Spirit. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you shared that verse because somebody could have been listening to this and thinking, oh man, it's great that Dustin and his team have been called to hospitality. So they've got it covered. But we're all called
Yes.
to this space of, being hospitable to others because you never know. You never know who God may bring across your path. And I love your press into the reality that our lives, we can learn to be more hospitable to the Spirit, because it's in that then really crazy things can happen, really amazing
Yes.
things can happen.
Yeah.
So I want to thank y'all for kind of leading the way in Lynchburg in a lot of ways into what it looks like to trust God in this call of hospitality. I love that this is going to spread to students from around the world over the next years and beyond. And those seeds of hospitality are just going to do amazing things. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing today. And thank you to all of you for listening, and
Mm.
not just for listening, but for walking with us as we together, as one family, explore what it means to know God and make Him known. If you'd like to learn more about what God's doing in Virginia, visit us at ywamva.org and join us next week for more stories of God at work.